If you have just picked up a copy of the Quran to read, you will find this video very helpful. Here are a few things you should know. The history. It's a common misconception that the Prophet Muhammad was the founder of Islam and the author of the Quran. Muhammad was the last prophet of God, and the Quran is the last revelation of God's many revelations to guide mankind. The Quran, as it will be evident from the very beginning, reads like a divine discourse, God speaking directly to humankind. The Quran is the living speech of God to humanity. The first prophet was Adam. As humankind increased in population and spread across the earth, over generations they would forget, dilute, and even change God's original message. God would then choose prophets among the people, and these prophets would guide people back to the right path. There have been over 100,000 prophets of God throughout history. Addressing Prophet Muhammad, God says, "We have sent you with the truth as a bearer of good news and a warner. There is no community to which a warner has not come. If they reject you, so did their predecessors. Messengers came to them with clear signs, with scriptures, and with the enlightening book." Some of these prophets have been mentioned by name in the Quran. In another passage, the Quran reads, "This is the reasoning we gave to Abraham against his people. We raise in rank anyone we please. Your Lord is wise and aware. We gave him Isaac and Jacob, each of whom we guided as we had guided Noah before. Among his descendants were David and Solomon and Job, Joseph, Moses, and Aaron. Thus do we reward the righteous. Zechariah, John, Jesus, and Elijah, each one of them was righteous. Ishmael, Elisha, Jonah, and Lot, we favored each one of them above other people, and also some of their forefathers, their offsprings, and their brothers. We chose them and guided them to a straight path." Prophet Muhammad. Muhammad was born in 570 AD. Even before he became a prophet, Muhammad's personality was that of a deep thinker. A few months before his birth, his father, Abdullah, passed away while returning from a trade journey. His mother, Amina, also passed away when he was about 5 or 6 years old. Orphaned at an early age, these tragedies shaped his reflective and compassionate nature. Even before becoming a prophet, he was known in society as As-Sadiq, the truthful, and Al-Amin, the trustworthy. People relied on him for wisdom, fairness, and advice. For example, once the Kaaba was damaged due to a flood. When the Kaaba was reconstructed, the different clans began to argue over who would have the honor of placing the final black stone, the Hajar al-Aswad. This was a sensitive issue because the black stone was the only surviving part of the Kaaba from its original construction by the hands of Abraham and Ishmael. This stone still exists today and is placed in one of the corners of the Kaaba. To resolve the dispute, the clan leaders agreed that the first person to enter the Kaaba's precinct the next morning would decide the matter. They were relieved and pleased when Muhammad was the first to arrive, knowing that they could trust his judgment. Instead of choosing one clan and risking further conflict, he suggested that the stone be placed on a cloth so that the representatives of each clan could lift it together, allowing all of them to share the honor. In the end, Muhammad himself positioned the stone in its place. His approach consistently sought peace and unity within society. He would spend his time immersed in deep contemplative thoughts and reflections, seeking answers about the realities of life. When Muhammad was 40 and was in the middle of one of his spiritual retreats, he was visited by the angel Gabriel. The angel said, "Read." Muhammad replied that he did not know how to read. An early tradition states that Gabriel then embraced Muhammad and delivered the first verses of the Quran. "Read, in the name of your Lord who created man from a clot of blood. Read, your Lord is the most bountiful one, who taught by the pen, taught man what he did not know." After this incident, Prophet Muhammad was shaken and went back to his wife Khadija. Khadija, along with some of their close friends and relatives, who had known him as an honest and truthful man his whole life, believed in him. Some other close friends and relatives despite knowing him as an honest and truthful man his whole life, ridiculed and persecuted him. Prophet Muhammad's prophethood lasted for 23 years. He spent 13 of those years in Mecca and the final 10 years in Medina. Throughout this period, he delivered the Quran gradually, bit by bit, to the world, conveying each revelation exactly as it was being revealed to him. The final verse of the Quran was revealed in 632 AD. Fear the day when you shall be made to return to God. Then every soul shall be paid in full what it has earned, and they shall not be wronged. Prophet Muhammad, at age 63, passed away a few months after delivering the final revelation and completing the Quran. On the occasion of the Prophet's death, his closest companion, Abu Bakr, made one of the most quintessential remarks in Islamic history. Whoever among you worshipped Muhammad, then Muhammad is dead. But whoever worships God, God is alive and will never die. The inner spirit and God realization. The purpose of the Quran is to bring one closer to God. A reader's heart softens as they read through the Quran. They feel closer to God as they ponder over the verses and find themselves in deep thought. As Prophet Muhammad would recite verses of the Quran, people would be moved by God's message. The Quran captures some of these experiences. When they listen to what has been sent down to the messenger, you see their eyes overflowing with tears because they recognize the truth. They say, "Our Lord, we believe, so count us among those who bear witness." This spirit, when you find yourself in tears when reflecting over the verses of the Quran and the existence of God in your life, is called Marifah, or realization of the truth. Another verse in the Quran reads, "We have revealed the Quran with the truth, and with the truth it has come down. We have sent you forth only to give good news and to give warning. We have revealed the Quran bit by bit, so that you may recite it to the people slowly and with deliberation. We have imparted it by gradual revelation. Say to them, you may believe in it or not. Those to whom knowledge had been revealed fall on their faces in prostration when it is recited, and say, Glory to our Lord. Our Lord's promise is bound to be fulfilled. They fall down upon their faces weeping, and the Quran increases their humility." The Quran stresses the importance of man's discovery of truth at the level of realization. True faith in God is what one achieves at such a level. Where there is no realization, there is no faith. Violent verses. Those who are introduced to the Quran through unreliable sources generally have the impression that the Quran is a book of jihad, and jihad to them is an attempt to achieve one's goal by means of violence. But this idea is based on a misunderstanding. Anyone who reads the Quran for themselves will easily appreciate that its message has nothing to do with violence. It is true that there are certain verses in the Quran which convey injunctions similar to the following: slay them wherever you find them. Referring to such verses, there are some who attempt to give the impression that Islam is a religion of war and violence. This is completely untrue. The truth is that some verses of the Quran were circumstantial to the situation at the Prophet's time. The Muslims were being persecuted by the Quraysh tribe and being unilaterally attacked. God allowed his followers, only in the restricted sense of that specific situation, to defend themselves against those who had unilaterally attacked them, with no provocation of their own. Such verses do not convey a general command of Islam, and only represent less than 2% of the verses of the Quran. 98% of the verses of the Quran deal with other topics, like belief and faith and spirituality. This division of commands into different categories is a natural one and is found in all religious books. For instance, Jesus Christ said, "Do not think that I came to bring peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to turn a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies will be the members of his own household." It would not be right to conclude that the preaching by Christ was one of war and violence, for such verses in the Bible relate purely to particular occasions. So far as general life is concerned, Christ taught peaceful values, such as the building up of a good character, loving each other, helping the poor and needy. Similarly, in the Gita, the holy book of the Hindus, pertains to wisdom and moral values. Yet, along with this is the exhortation of Krishna to Arjuna, encouraging him to fight. This does not mean that believers in the Gita should wage wars all the time. Mahatma Gandhi, after all, derived his philosophy of non-violence from the same Gita. The exhortation to wage war in the Gita applies only to exceptional cases where circumstances leave no choice. But for general day-to-day existence, it gives the same peaceful commands as derived from it by Mahatma Gandhi. The same is true of the Quran. When the Prophet Muhammad immigrated from Mecca to Medina, certain tribes were aggressive towards him. But the Prophet always averted their attacks by exercising patience and adopting the strategy of avoiding conflict. However, on certain occasions, no other options existed, save that of self-defense. Therefore, he had to do battle on certain occasions. It was these circumstances which occasioned those Quranic revelations relating to war. These commands, being specific to certain circumstances, had no general application. They were not meant to be valid for all time to come. That is why the permanent status of Prophet Muhammad has been termed a mercy for all mankind. Islam is a religion of peace in the fullest sense of the word. The Quran calls its way the paths of peace. It describes reconciliation as the best policy and states that God abhors any disturbance of peace. It is no exaggeration to say that Islam and violence are contradictory to each other. The preservation of the Quran. The Quran is the only holy book that retains its originality. Today, there are different schools of thoughts among Muslims. However, every school of thought agrees on the same Quran. When the Quran was revealed in the first quarter of the 7th century, paper had already been invented. This paper, known as papyrus, was made by hand from the fibers of certain trees. Whenever any part of the Quran was revealed, it was written down on papyrus, or locally known in Arabic as qirtas. During this process, people also committed the verses to memory. The Quran was recited in prayers as well as read out publicly for the purpose of sharing its message. In this way, the Quran continued to be simultaneously memorized as well as written down. This method of preservation continued during the lifetime of the Prophet Muhammad. Hence, the Quran was preserved during the life of the Prophet. The third Caliph, Osman ibn Affan, had several copies prepared. He sent these copies to different cities where they were kept in prominent mosques. People not only recited from these copies, but also prepared more copies from them. The writing of the Quran by hand continued till the printing press was invented. Printing methods went on improving, and so the printing of the Quran also improved. Now, printed copies of the Quran have become so common that they can be found in every home, mosque, library, and bookstore. Today, anyone can find a beautiful copy of the Quran wherever they might be, in any part of the globe. The creation plan of God. It would be correct to say that everyone is a seeker by birth. Some questions lurk in everyone's mind. Who am I? What is the reason behind all the pain and struggles? What is the purpose of my life? What is the reality of life and death? Will I cease to exist after death? What is the formula for our success and failures? And so on. Every book has its objective, and the objective of the Quran is to make man aware of the creation plan of God. Man is born as an eternal creature. When God created man as such, He divided lifespan into two periods: the pre-death period, which is a time of trial, and the post-death period, which is the time for receiving the rewards of punishment merited by one's actions during their lifetime. These take the form of eternal paradise or eternal hell. The purpose of the Quran is to make us aware of this reality. This is the theme of this divine book, which serves to guide us on our journey through life into the afterlife. One special aspect of the Quran is that at any moment, its reader can consult with its writer, ask questions and receive answers. For the writer of the Quran is God Himself. He is the living God. As our Creator, He directly hears and answers when we reach out to Him. Thank you for watching the entirety of this video. We hope this video provided a good introduction to you of the Quran. If you have any questions as you read the Quran, feel free to reach out to us at info@cpsusa.net.